Alright, class, hopefully you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did, and now I'm ready to get back into doing school. So up here at the top, you'll see the title of this is called Transition Metal Nomenclature. So while you're writing that down, hopefully you have a notebook and a pen out. If not, go and grab one so you can take some notes. This is going to be a little bit tricky at first, but once you get it down, it'll be pretty easy. So title your notes Transition Metal Nomenclature. While you're doing that, I'll kind of circle what I'm talking about when I say transition metals. So transition metals on your periodic table are these metals that are in the middle part. So whenever you have a compound that has one of those metals in it, it's called a transition metal, and we'll have to have a special naming system for them. Now the reason that is because transition metals, metals that are found in this circle, have charges that are not always the same. So you know that anything in like this first column right here is always going to have a +1 charge, right? Or anything in this column right here would have a +2 charge. But in this middle part, it's going to have a variable charge or differing charge. It's not always going to be the same. So, for example, if we look at Fe, which is right here, that's Fe on your periodic table, Fe could have a charge of +2, but Fe can also have a charge of +3. And so that's going to make it different. It's going to make its name different if it has a +2 charge or a +3 charge. I'll kind of show you what I'm going to talk about. So, for example, Fe, if it was combined with O, let's write out what it would be. So Fe is a +2 charge and O is a -2 charge. So we do our swapping and dropping. And we get Fe2O2. Again, we have to simplify that, so it would be Fe and O. So, to write that name, we would write it iron, and then we'd write oxide. Now let's do it with the +3 charge. So if it had a +3 charge, you'd have here, let me write it down lower for you guys. So if it had a +3 charge, you'd have Fe +3 with an O -2, right? So we swap them and drop them, and then you'd have Fe2O3. So that's different. These two are different. And if we were to write this one's name, we would just write iron oxide, right? So the only different thing here is both of these, they have different, their formulas are different. You see, one has a 2 and a 3, and the other ones are both blank. So in order to indicate that, when we write out the name, when we write out this iron oxide, we have to include a Roman numeral in it, or a number, to say what the charge is. So for this first iron oxide at the top, when we write it, we would say iron with a Roman numeral 2 oxide. So that tells us that this iron has a +2 charge. So this bottom one would be, instead of iron oxide, we'd have to put parentheses with a Roman numeral in it. This Roman numeral is going to be 3 because it has a +3 charge, so iron 3 and then oxide. All right, let's do another practice where I give you the symbols and you write the name. All right, another example could be, let's see, let's do, what if I give you a COCl2 and you give me the name? So in order to do that, you have to think this Cl has a -1 charge, but there's 2 of them, right? So it really has a -2 charge. So this CO, there's only one of it, so it has to have a +2 charge. So CO on your periodic table is right here, so it's going to be cobalt, and it has a +2 charge. And then Cl on your periodic table is over here, and it's going to be chloride. Let's do one more, because these are kind of tricky. Let's do FeBr3. So we don't know, we know that Fe, like in this example over here, the Fe, its name is iron, so it's going to be iron. We need to figure out what the Roman numeral is going to be that we're going to put in there. And then we know Br is going to be bromide. Oh, sorry, that's really messy. Let me erase it for you and rewrite it better. So this is going to be bromide. And bromine usually has a -1 charge. But when we times it by 3, because there's 3 of them, it's going to have a negative 3 charge. So this iron has to be iron 3 bromide. So it's going to have a charge of 3. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So these Roman numerals represent the charge. So now I'm also going to have you guys go from when I give you the name, you're going to have to write the symbols. So let's look at one. Let's do lead, and let's do 2, and then fluoride. So lead on our periodic table is going to be Pb. So over here, Pb, Pb. And so Pb is going to have a +2 charge. And then fluoride on our periodic table is going to be right over here. So fluoride is going to have a -1 charge. So now we do the same thing that we do normally. We just cross them and drop them. So we're going to get PbF2. All right, that's one example. Let's look at another example. Let's do nickel, 1, and nitride. So nickel on our periodic table is, I think it's somewhere in the middle, kind of, because we're doing transition metals. It might be covered up by the writing. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle here. Oh, it's right here. So its symbol is Ni. And we know that this tells us the charge, so it's going to be Ni + 1. And then the nitride is found over in this column. And we know, hopefully on the top of your periodic table, you've written that that's a -3. So this N is going to have a -3, and then we cross them and drop them. And so it'll be Ni3N. Okay, I'm going to do some practice problems in the next video, so if you're still confused, look at that, and I'll work you through some of them. But if you're feeling really comfortable, you can start trying to do your homework. You're welcome to email me with questions if you need any help. And I hope to see you guys all back super soon on Wednesday, and so we can start doing some in-person instruction.